Cade Cunningham, showed during his rookie season that he was ready to lead his team. And he's poised for a strong sophomore season. But even outside of him, as the primary bright spot and franchise talent, they've slowly and methodically amassed a roster packed with promising young talent. And most importantly, talent that complements the strengths of one another. Jaden Ivey somehow fell to them with the 5th pick in the draft, after many expected him to go 4th overall. And then, they secured the promising young big man, Jalen Duren out of Memphis. Their young core was starting to look like they might be able to make the next step. But it wasn't clear that they might have the intention of moving past their rebuilding era and into a new age of competitiveness, until they made a trade for Bojan Bogdanovic, a veteran small forward that'll fit perfectly on the wing alongside Cade Cunningham, serving as yet another shooter, able to benefit from Cade Cunningham's spectacular floor vision. And then they also traded for Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks, who, while they aren't exactly franchise-altering players, are the type of veteran role players you'd want around your young core, to provide meaningful minutes off the bench and serve as mentors to your young guys. All of these moves beg the question, is their rebuild over? One of the big keys to the Pistons taking a leap in the win column this season is going to be dependent on how well their 2 lottery pick, Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren, perform in their rookie seasons. Let's start off with Jaden Ivey, played a key role in Purdue, being 8.2 points per 100 possessions better than the average transition offense in Division I basketball, and the #1 transition offense in the Big Ten last year. Meanwhile, Detroit was just below league average in regards to their transition offense. Jaden Ivey is going to be able to come in from day one, and not just score in transition, but also make for others in transition. If you watched Ivey in college, you know how exciting of a player he is. He is lightning fast in the open court, being able to turn on the afterburners on a dime to get into space and get to the rim. But it's not just his ball handling ability and speed that makes him so dangerous in transition. It's also largely due to his footwork when attacking the basket. And using his handle to get into space while still maintaining a full head of steam. He loves to go to this Euro step and transition, feigning as if he's gonna drive right but pulling the ball over to his left when his defender commits, allowing him into space to get to the rim. Here, he uses that insane burst to get by his defender for a better angle and get his defender into a recovery stance. And then he just stops on a dime near the dunker spot and springs off 2 feet to get the soft floater up. Ivey does so much more than just scoring in transition to being a really solid facilitator. He does a great job of attacking advantages to create open looks for his teammates. He draws so much defensive attention in transition that it makes it really difficult for opposing defenses to adequately cover the threat of his scoring without giving up an open man for Ivey to make a pass to. Here he's attacking in transition and he uses the spin move to get by his man only to run into 2 defenders coming to provide help. Meanwhile, Mason Gillis flashes under the basket, and with all the defense focused on preventing Ivey, he's gonna find Gillis for the bucket. Similar situation here. He uses this beautiful hesitation to get his defender recovering, and he gets down to the block with 2 defenders on him before using his great footwork to literally pull the defense out of the paint and open up the pass for an easy basket. Defensive manipulation is one of the easier aspects of a player's game to translate from college to the NBA. And Jaden Ivey is going to be able to maximize that from day one. Look at guys like John Moran, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and prime Russell Westbrook. Their interior gravity opens up all sorts of opportunities for passing, and the fact that Jaden Ivey recognizes this is something that he has at his disposal makes him a really intriguing threat in transition. I'm spending a lot of time talking about his transition abilities, but even in the half court there's a ton of stuff to like about what Jaden Ivey brings to the table. He's got great rim gravity, a strength that I'm confident is going to be a perfect contrast to Cade Cunningham. Cade is a very patient driver and slasher, whereas Ivey is more explosive and unpredictable. Ivey scoring will alleviate some of the offensive burden from Saddiq Bey as well, and allow Bey to operate more in an off-ball role that suits his perimeter shooting ability off the catch. Saddiq Bey was putting up 14 shots a night last season, and even though his three-point shooting was serviceable, his scoring impact is going to improve greatly if he operates primarily as a shooter off the catch and as a cutter. And listen, I like Saddiq Bey a lot, and he had one of the most unexpected 50-point games I've ever seen in my life. But I'd rather him be a guy that can go nuclear for you in a random game than him be a guy that you need to take the second most shots in your team. Having Ivy as the true second option is going to help solve that problem a lot. They're also going to be throwing Jalen Duren into the mix. Duren is going to be the youngest player in the entire NBA this season. And while a lot of people might be quick to call him a quote-unquote raw prospect, the skill base that he's already established is enough to be extremely high on him and his upside as a player. Duren can serve a wide range of roles on the offensive end despite not exhibiting the stretchability that seems to be almost required from modern big men. His unreal athleticism allows him to operate as a classic Roman in the pick and roll while also being capable of serving as a weak side cutter. The most intriguing offensive ability that I'm sure the Pistons are going to be looking to extract from him is his ability as a passer. He was a really strong mid to high post passer in college, showing that he has a really strong feel for the game despite his youth. The Pistons are going to have the opportunity to use him as a passer in the short roll, something that does a great job of pulling opposing defenses out of the paint and opening up space on the interior for easy dump-offs to the dunker spot or cutter. Coming off of perimeter, while a front court of Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren lacks much stretchability, both are good cutters and they're both going to be able to benefit from one another's off-ball movement and being available people as options in the dunker spot. Defensively, Duren is a beast. He's extremely athletic and his 7'5" wingspan makes him a constant threat to block shots at the rim. On top of that, Duren is strong. He's built like a tank, yet it doesn't compromise his ability to move laterally and stay with ball handlers. His fit alongside Jalen Duren. Isaiah Stewart has shown some flashes of a three-ball shooting 15 of 46 from 3 last season. Now that's way too small of a sample size to start calling him a stretch big, but if he can continue to build upon that and become maybe a 34 three-point shooter on 2 attempts per game, then there's a world where him and Jalen Duren can work together, and it's going to add a new element to their game plan around Cade Cunningham. Duren and Isaiah Stewart could be Detroit's version of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. A double big front court that remains effective both offensively and defensively despite neither of them really being floor spacers. Detroit has a hypothetical medical starting 5 of Cade, Ivy, Sadiq Bey, Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart, which honestly is a pretty exciting young core to work with, and they still have Marvin Bagley, Killian Hayes, Hamidou Diallo, and Isaiah Livers that are still 24 or younger coming off their bench. Now they've added some veteran leadership as well in Bogdan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel. Something that I'm sure all the young guys on that roster are going to benefit from. Is this team a championship contender? No. And I don't even think Pistons fans are going to try and tell you that it is. They may not even be a playoff threat. But this team feels like they could be a sneaky playing team. They're a team that if you're a 7 or an 8 seed, you'd hate to run into in a single elimination game. Is it maybe smarter for them to tank for another year to try and snag Victor Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson in the draft? But I'm also never gonna fault a team for showing confidence in their young core and letting them see what they're capable of when trying to win. They have nothing to lose by giving it a shot. Because even if they missed the playoffs again, they're still well equipped to move forward towards trying to build a contender. Considering they still have their draft picks, and they still have a ton of promising young talent, with plenty of time to develop. It's never been clear that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Detroit's rebuild. And they're a lot closer to taking a leap than you think. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing and leaving a like on the video. That's the #1 way to support me and help me continue making content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.